the city of Orange in northern Orange County, California. 36-year-old Maribel Ramos had always stood out. From a young age, she was ambitious, studious, compassionate, and a great friend. She had a very close bond with her family, often taking on more of a maternal role, as her mom worked 2 jobs to make sure they all stayed afloat. Her dream since she was little was to work in law enforcement, ideally the police. After she left school, she started working as a security guard, and then made the big decision to join the US Army in August 2001, hoping this would open more doors for her down the line.
It's 8:52 here in New York. I'm Bryant Gumbel. We understand that there has been a plane crash on the southern tip of Manhattan. You're looking at the World Trade Center. We understand that a plane has crashed into the World Trade Center. We don't know anything more than that. We don't know if it was a commercial aircraft.
Yeah, now remember, oh my God.
Oh my God.
That looks like a second plane.
But following the devastation of 9/11, she was deployed overseas to Iraq and served 2 military tours, moving up to the rank of sergeant, before being honorably discharged in 2008. Never one to slow down, she then enrolled at California State University Fullerton to study criminal justice and moved into an apartment with her mom. After her graduation, she wanted a job with the United States Department of Veterans Affairs. Her mother passed away in 2009 and Maribel put out an ad on Craigslist looking for someone to move in. She was happy to get a lot of applicants, but got a particularly good vibe from Kwang Chol Joy, who went by KC. He was searching for a new job and a fresh start after losing his parents, and the pair got on really well. He was quiet, kept himself to himself, and with Maribel still in education and working alongside, she was looking forward to a more chilled home life. 54-year-old Casey said he saw Maribel like a sister, and the pair spent a lot of time together. He even started tutoring her niece in mathematics. As the summer of 2013 came around, Maribel was busy. She had recently started seeing Paul Lopez and things were going well. She was asked to speak at a conference in Chicago about her transition from leaving the military and was also preparing for her upcoming graduation. She had a hair appointment booked and was spending time shopping with her niece Giselle. Her sister Lucy said that her graduation was going to mark a new part in her life, a new chapter. As much as she had enjoyed the last few years and all the education, it most definitely consumed her life, and she wanted to really start travelling, spending more time with her friends and family, settling down, thinking about children, and moving house. May 3rd, 2013. Maribel's roommate Casey reached out to Lucy, asking if she had heard from her. He said her car was still outside, and as her classes would be long over, he was worried. It didn't even look like she had driven to them. Even though Lucy hadn't heard anything, she told him not to worry. She could be a bit stressed with everything. Maribel loved long walks with her dog and hikes, so maybe that's where she was. But Casey was still concerned and called the police anyway.
Orange Police Dispatcher Rose.
I have a roommate, she's 36 years old, and she didn't come home last night.
Okay, did you want to make a missing person report? Is that what you're wanting to do?
Yeah, I sent the cell phone message. She didn't call me back. No more she got to school today. No more she will show up today.
Do you know if she was at school?
No, her car is there. I think she ran out last night. She didn't come home.
A few hours later, Lucy learned that Maribel had missed her weekly softball game and hadn't turned up to her on-campus job either. Anything less than 15 minutes early, Maribel considered late, so being a total no-show without messaging anyone was a big red flag. Lucy and their cousin went to her apartment, but everything was locked up, and there was no answer at the door. Her car was still parked out the front, and more worryingly still, they could hear her dog inside. Lucy said this wave of panic just hit her. They called the police again to add to the report that Casey had already made. When the police got to the 1800 block of East Rose Street, they were met with the same silence. They forced their way in, but nothing immediately stood out to them. No windows were smashed, no locks were broken, and nothing seemed out of place. But when Lucy walked into her bedroom, she saw that her sister's bed had not been made, and a pillowcase was missing. Maribel never left her bed unmade. She was the tidiest person with strict routines. Officers immediately took this all very seriously and made the quick decision to call in the homicide unit as well. Casey then returned home from a drive and told police about the last time he had spoken to her. He said they'd chatted as normal, nothing out of the ordinary. Nobody is going to drag her out, she's a very stubborn woman. She has a very strong head on her shoulders, he said. He had left the apartment, returned at 9 p.m, and she wasn't there. He assumed that Paul or someone else might have picked her up, but Paul hadn't. As much as nobody wanted to believe it, it was obvious that something bad had happened. Her cards, purse, keys and phone were nowhere to be found, and there was no activity on anything either. Her phone was now turned off, but the last few calls she had been from Paul, so they definitely needed to find him and find out what she'd said. Her family, friends and roommate were appealing to the media and handing out flyers everywhere. Lucy said, "There's no question there's something going on here. My sister's missing. I know that it's not because she wants to be missing. She has things that can trigger certain things, but not to the point of depression, and her leaving and just wandering off or harming herself, or thinking of harming herself."
This is Maribel Ramos' neighborhood, where she was last seen sometime Thursday night between 7:30 and 8:30 p.m. It's one of the details listed on this flyer that family and friends are passing out as we speak, hoping that someone saw something.
Right now, there are very few clues as to what happened to her, but police are saying her disappearance is considered suspicious.
Her complex was pretty well covered by cameras, but unfortunately, a lot of the cameras didn't face her apartment directly. And because she and Casey could park on the street outside, the cameras that overlooked the parking lot would likely be pretty useless as well. Residents would pay their rent by putting it into a little box in the manager's office, and the cameras in there had managed to capture her dropping her check off a day before she had gone missing. No one else was around as she posted her check and walked back. It was 8:30 p.m, she was wearing pyjama bottoms and a vest top, so it seemed likely that she was heading to bed pretty soon after she'd done this.
We really need everyone's help, please. You guys have been helping us. We still need to continue this. We need to find Maribel.
Family and friends of Maribel Ramos held a prayer vigil at Calvary Church of Santa Ana Monday night, urging everyone to step up and help find Ramos, who has been missing since May 2nd.
And we still need to continue having faith, because we are going to find her. She is going to come home to us. We are going to hug her again.
If you know of anybody that knows anything and they're afraid to talk, because let's face it, some of us are not legally here. So if anybody's afraid because of that, email them. You email an anonymous email will help.
Orange police detectives believe Ramos's disappearance is suspicious. Ramos is an Army veteran who served in South Korea and Iraq.
She fought for us, our family, our country. I mean, she's an airborne paratrooper. I can't even do that. I'm afraid of heights.
Anyone with information about the disappearance of Maribel Ramos is asked to call the Orange Police Department at 714-744-7403 or visit findmaribel.com.
Well, we really want to say, if somebody knows something, please don't be afraid. Please call the police. Say anything. If it's something little that you know, anything, please, it helps. We just want her home safe.
They found Paul and asked him to come in for an interview. He said that their relationship was definitely very new and they weren't exclusive yet. He had been seeing other people, but he didn't know if she had as well. Don't ask, don't tell, he joked. From the timeline, they knew that the last day Maribel had been seen was Thursday the 2nd of May. Paul had been working from 4 p.m. until midnight that day, something that was easily corroborated. He spoke to her a lot on the phone that day, but hadn't seen her. They were happy with his answers and his whereabouts, and he cooperated fully with them as well. He was happy for them to look in his truck too, which had a tracker in it, which again proved he was nowhere even close to her apartment that day. Paul was ruled out, but gave them food for thought as he left. He mentioned her roommate's name, Casey. He said their friendship had not been in the best place lately. The pair were now frequently arguing about him being late to give her the rent, and Casey's life was, in Maribel's words, starting to go to shit, which was having a knock-on effect on their living arrangements. The last argument they had been the same day she was last seen, and Paul had overheard some of it when Maribel called him and put him on speakerphone. Maribel had had enough of the rent not being paid, and she told him he needed to pack up his stuff. She'd been telling him to leave for a few weeks now, but she wanted him out the next day. Casey wanted to stay for 2 more weeks, but refused to pay in advance. Paul made it clear over the phone that Casey needed to pack his stuff up, otherwise he would do it for him. Paul then asked if she wanted him to come over to help her with what sounded like a pretty tense conversation, but Maribel said no, she could handle it herself, and she was going to go to bed.
She's always talked about him.
In a frustrated way?
Mm-hmm. She's always complained about him, that he never has his rent on time. Pretty much she was like letting me know like his whole life was just going. And he was there in the living room. I can hear him in the background, and she was pretty much telling me just she wants him out, that she told him that he's gotta be out tomorrow. I kind of get like a little tough saying like, all right, well, just make sure that he knows that if he's not out by tomorrow, that if his stuff isn't out, then I'm going to get it and throw it out. That was pretty much the end of the conversation.
The police then learned of a troubling call that Maribel had made to 911 less than 2 weeks before she went missing. "I'm just calling to let you know that if something happens, that I did it because I was trying to defend myself," she said. She was talking about Casey.
Hi, it's not an emergency, but is it recording?
Is there a what?
Is this conversation recording?
Yes, every conversation is recorded. Why are you crying?
Because I'm afraid.
What? Your roommate?
We had a discussion tonight, and I honestly felt like I'm just telling him that I'm not comfortable with him anymore, and apparently he's supposed to be leaving at the end of the month. But I have PTSD, and I was in the military, and I did 2 tours in Iraq. And I had to tell him that I had a gun in the house, which I do not. And I do not have a gun in the house, but I told him that I did.
Okay.
But he was just, because he sounded like he would hurt me. Like, it was weird. And I was scared for my life. But honestly, I do have a machete in next to my. I always have had a machete.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm afraid that I might, honestly hurt him.
Is he your boyfriend?
No, he has. That's the problem. He has gained feelings for me, and that's the reason why he's leaving, because he has gotten feelings for me, and I don't have any feelings for him.
What's his name?
His full name is I'm sorry.
It's alright.
I'm just calling so that you guys know that if something happens and that I have some type of self-defense, or that I did it because I was trying to defend myself. I don't have any automatic weapons or anything like that, but I told him that so he can just not even think about coming to my door, because if he does, I swear I will kill him. Okay. I swear. I'm scared of him.
Casey's application to move in with Maribel had read, "I am a Korean, single, professional male. I am looking for a small apartment or private room with kitchen use, and your place sounds perfect. I have a 10-pound dog, Yorkie. I am a social drinker, non-smoker, straight, and I like to keep things clean. I am easygoing and get along with most people." And it seemed that things had got off to a good start. They would go out dancing and to karaoke, walk the dogs together, and Casey even paid for an Alaskan cruise for them both. Looking into his history, they learned that he had moved to California from Tennessee. After they lost their parents, he got into a bad situation with his sister over inheritance. She said he had an awful temper, one that scared her so much, she even took out a restraining order against him. In 1986, he was charged with assault and battery, and a year later he was charged with aggravated assault, but both charges were dismissed. And in 2011, he was arrested on suspicion of driving under the influence. He hadn't really made any new friends in his new home, instead choosing to follow Maribel around wherever she went and tagging on to her circle of friends. By the time Maribel went missing, he had been living with her for just over a year. In the summer of 2012, Lucy got a call from Casey, and he confessed to her that he was in love with her sister. He wanted to marry her and have children. Lucy immediately told Maribel to give her the heads up. Maribel, trying to be nice, said she didn't want to hurt his feelings, but she now had to confront it. She told him clearly that romance was not on the cards, and at first it seemed that Casey was okay about it, but this too was not to last. He bought a whole new wardrobe and got a tattoo trying to impress her, and allegedly spent $12,000 on cosmetic surgery to make himself look younger. Casey, put simply, was obsessed with Maribel. A neighbour told the police that the day Maribel went missing, Casey told him he wanted to make a missing persons report, but it was only 10:30 a.m. at this point. The neighbour thought it had only been a couple of hours since she'd left the house. Why the need to make a report? The neighbour added that he had noticed deep scratches on both of his arms, but Casey said he had been walking his dog and fell over into some bushes. And when the police had first got to her apartment, it turned out that Casey had just been sat in his car, watching, not actually driving round like he said he was. He was just observing everything going on.
So this is Casey. You like Casey? Casey's CJ. Everybody calls me Casey.
As you know, right now there's some people, some family and friends that are worried about Maribel, your roommate.
I'm a sort of friend, and I care about her very much.
When Casey came in for a proper interview, he admitted to arguing with her, but he said it was because Maribel had been drinking. He said she could either be really fun or really angry, and this time it was the latter.
Now, weren't the police out to your house recently because you guys had an argument?
There was the Friday night when she drinks. Either she's going to be super friendly or super aggressive. And she started yelling at me. So I don't like you. I'm not attracted to you. She started screaming and yelling. I said, Maribel, we had a great time tonight. What's the problem? She started saying, I have a gun. My bullet is faster than yours.
When was the last time you guys had any sort of an argument?
Actually, that Thursday.
He told them he had lost his job, which is why he was struggling to pay the rent, but Maribel wasn't being sympathetic, she just wanted him gone. They asked about the scratches, and this time, he had a different story.
How'd you get all these scratches on you?
We go to Eisenhower Park all the time. We try to reach in to grab the fishing line.
Telling them they came from a fishing line that got caught around a duck, and he had then scratched himself as he was trying to untangle everything. The scratches were very straight, very deep, and of a similar size. Was it possible that they had come from a plant or an animal, perhaps even a wire or something? He let them take photos of him, gave them a DNA sample, and told them they could take swabs of his apartment and his car, and even handed over his phone and laptop. A cadaver dog reacted to the back of his car, and inside the apartment, they found a pyjama shirt stuffed away that matched the bottom she had been wearing in the CCTV clip. It had a bit of blood on the sleeve that was Maribel's, but there was no other person's DNA on there. On May 13th, Casey was posting on Yelp. People were all over every part of the internet to put Maribel's name and information out there, and Yelp was just another place that her friends were spreading the message. Casey, whose profile picture was him with Maribel, jumped into a thread and started typing about his missing roommate. He was often talking about her in the past tense. And some people even replied to his posts, warning him that he should be more careful about what he was saying, as it looked a certain way. But again, giving him the benefit of the doubt, English was his second language. Needless to say, Casey was the only person of interest. So investigators decided to put him under 24-hour surveillance. Casey was talking to the media at any opportunity he could get, telling everyone that she was his best friend, his family, and he would never have hurt her.
She's my best friend. Actually, she's my only friend, only family member I have. And voluntarily, they want a DNA sample. They took a picture of my body. They will search the house without a search warrant. I'll give them a permission to do it. Go ahead, go forward.
I'm the roommate that everybody thinks that had something to do with this, so it makes me uncomfortable, he said.
This is Maribel Ramos' apartment where she was last seen 8 days ago. Her family says she left behind her much-loved dog, she left behind her vehicle, and there's been no recent activity on her cell phone or credit cards.
Her sister said she knew something was wrong when Ramos missed a baseball game Friday and failed to show up at a Veterans Appreciation Night where she was supposed to give a speech.
She does not just not call and or not show up. You know, if she has a commitment with you, she will be there.
The Orange Police Department has 6 detectives working the case, but have found no suspects.
Everybody's been working together. There's all the family is coming together. People are making flyers, people are sending emails, people are setting up web pages, people are, getting in contact with everybody that they can.
Ramos served 2 military tours of duty in Iraq as an Army sergeant before being honorably discharged in 2008.
This is why our family desperately needs the community to come together so we can find Maribel Ramos, my sister, their cousin, the aunt, the student, the veteran, the amazing woman that gives and has changed other people's lives.
Maribel Ramos is 5'2", 130 pounds, and has a tattoo of a star on her left shoulder.
Now without his laptop, Casey had been spending a lot of time on the library computers, so detectives went there too. At the library, once someone was done with the computer, one of the employees would clean everything off it, and basically then reset it for the next person. They asked to put him on a specific computer that they were able to watch in real time and view the screen of. They recorded everything he did. It started out with nothing really to note, a check on social media, a scan of his emails, and then he submitted a job application. He made multiple visits to Maribel's Facebook page and started looking up where people were searching for her and the routes they were planning. Again, nothing too weird considering the situation. But when he searched, how long does it take a human body to decay, things definitely took a turn. Reading that her family wanted to do an awareness walk in a canyon that Maribel would hike in, he typed this location into maps. He then moved the map around into a much more rural part and zoomed into a very specific spot off the side of a road. Not at all part of a typical hiking or walking route. In real time, he froze on the maps for a while, zooming in, zooming out, over and over on this one particular spot. Before Casey even left the library, detectives were on their way to the location he had just been looking at. And it was here on May 17th, in a shallow grave in the remote canyon area, they found Maribel's badly decomposed body. Her body had been covered in rocks, but they recognised her tattoo right away. So much time had passed, and in the heat, they were unable to determine a cause of death. Casey Joy was then brought back in for some much tougher questions. He didn't know they had found her yet, and was still very confident and chatty when he sat down. But the second detectives applied even the smallest bit of pressure, Casey stood up and stormed out.
Casey, I think that you have the answers in your heart, that you do, and that you should share them.
Just sit down for a little bit. He's telling you.
First of all, if you want to go, you can go.
Okay, all right, go.
He walked right into handcuffs though and was arrested on suspicion of murder. As he was booked in, they found Maribel's military identification tags on him.
It has been a devastating ending for the family of a beloved Iraqi war veteran. Within just the past hour, police in Orange announced that they had identified the decomposed body of Maribel Ramos, and her roommate is now under arrest for murder. At 6 o'clock, I'm Chuck Henry.
And I'm Lucy Nolan. It's what Maribel Ramos' family feared the most. Last night, authorities found her body near Majeska Canyon. A smell tipped them off. NBC4's Hetty Chang is live in Orange, where authorities said moments ago they do have a suspect in custody. And Hetty, this is somebody that we've actually talked with.
Maribel's university released a statement. Maribel was a beloved student and military veteran who was actively engaged here on our campus and in the community. She was a wonderful role model for our students, faculty and staff. We honour her for her past service to our country as an airborne paratrooper in the Army and her commitment to her education.
The roommate of an Army veteran was formally charged today with her murder, but prosecutors admit that there is a lot about this case that is still quite puzzling.
The timeline detectives believed was this. That Thursday night, she and Casey argued about the rent, and this was when she called Paul and put him on speakerphone. It was around 7:30 p.m. The last moments of her life were caught on camera as she posted the check to the manager's office and walked back into her apartment to head to bed just before 8:30 p.m. As there were no signs of a struggle, they believed that Casey had suffocated Maribel in her sleep with a pillow. She had no time to try and defend herself and didn't see any of it coming. He definitely planned to kill her in a way that would make defending herself really hard, as with her combat training, she would have been able to do this pretty well and fight him off. He put her body in the back of his car and drove to the canyon. To get to the place she was found, he would have had to get past a barbed wire, which was where his scratches had come from. He then cleaned his car and removed her pillowcase. What happened to her belongings is not known, but it seems likely he dumped them somewhere on the way. Casey denied everything over and over. He said, "Her family know I took care of her, and I would have never laid a finger on her for anything in the world. She was my dream."
His climax was there as family and friends remembered Maribel Ramos.
I can only imagine. A last goodbye today, and with it, a hope that a woman who friends say struggled in life will now be at peace.
We don't know what heaven fully looks like. We can only imagine that.
Un poco de tristeza, pero Rocio Vega says she's surrounded by sadness as her family says goodbye.
Over a year later, Casey Joy, who had pleaded not guilty, went on trial.
Orange County veteran makes a chilling 911 call just days before she's found dead. This is just one of the pieces of evidence prosecutors revealed today as they made their opening arguments. However, attorneys for her roommate and suspected killer are painting a very different picture here. NBC4's Vicky Vargas is live for us in Santa Ana with some new information in this case, we understand, Vicky.
Yeah, very interesting, Robert. One of the things the jury will have to decide is whether or not Kwang Choi Joy, Casey as is known, is an odd duck. That's how his own attorney describes him, or whether he is a killer. Now, after listening to hours of testimony inside the courtroom, we know that he didn't have the money to pay the rent.
During opening statements, his attorney acknowledged that Maribel had died in the apartment, but Casey had not killed her. The only thing he was guilty of was improperly disposing of her body. And how had she died? They said she could have had a medical condition or taken her own life. He said her military service had left her with PTSD, paranoia, and hypervigilance. They tried to suggest that Maribel had a drug or alcohol problem, saying she was drinking the night she called police, and thus could have been a danger to herself. She also led a party lifestyle, a risky lifestyle, his lawyer said. They argued he could not be found guilty of murder, as her cause of death was unknown. The prosecution, however, painted a picture of a very obsessive, very calculated person. Someone whose life was falling apart and the only thing he cared about, which was Maribel, had now turned very ugly. She was done with him not paying, and she had called him out. He had no job, no friends, no apartment, and now the woman he was infatuated with wanted nothing to do with him either. He snapped. Casey said, "I miss Maribel more than anyone. I think about it. I've been here 440 days in the jail. I think about it almost every day. Family wants me to apologise, which I cannot apologise for something I haven't done. Maybe someday truth will come out. Maybe I'll just die inside prison."
We've been following the trial for several weeks, and today, closing arguments wrapped up. NBC4's Vicky Vargas was the only reporter to talk to Maribel's sister as the jury now gets the case. Vicky?
It was interesting, Chuck. We listed in court this morning the defense almost berating police, saying they didn't believe they were doing their job. They weren't looking at other possible suspects. They contend the prosecution's case has so many holes in it, it's like Swiss cheese. And they said to the jury, don't be surprised if it's a struggle to reach your decision. Right when deliberations began, we sat down with Ramos' sister, who says she's already made up her mind.
He was found guilty of the lesser second-degree murder, and while awaiting sentencing, he went on an interview and letter-writing campaign. Casey sent dozens of letters to the judge protesting his innocence.
It's an exclusive jailhouse interview with a convicted killer who believes he is entitled to a new trial. And Eyewitness News reporter Miriam Hernandez looks at the crime, the evidence, and what the convicted man is trying to do now.
It was a case as chilling as it was tragic. Today, against the advice of his public defender, Joy speaks out to us from the Orange County Jail.
I cry. And then my Miranda right was read. I cried.
Only audio was allowed in the interview. Casey Joy, convicted of second-degree murder, says he does not want to wait for an appeal, that he wants a retrial with evidence that was kept from the jury. About the scratches on his body that prosecutors said were from a physical fight.
According to doctors said my scratches were non-specific abrasion. Doctor said it was not a fingernail scratch. He said non-specific. It could be from brush or anything.
The absence of physical evidence.
They searched my apartment about 7 times. No DNA, no fingerprint, no signs of foul play or anything.
Prosecutors agree it was a circumstantial case. The key evidence, Joy's internet search at the public library, zooming in on the very place where Ramos's body was found. Joy says today he used the public access computer because police seized his laptop. But he says many people use the library computer. About Googling the location of the gray site in Majeska Canyon, never happened, he says.
You never searched for that place? You never zoomed into that place?
No. I said, in my assumption, I was set up straightforward.
About motive, the prosecution says that Joy loved Ramos and that they fought when she told him to leave. Joy says they did go on one cruise together, but slept in separate beds.
We always maintain we're good friends. We're platonic friends. She was like my sister.
So, who do you think killed her?
That I do not know.
Joy is now on a letter-writing campaign, telling all he needs a more vigorous advocate than his public defender. Joy awaits sentencing set for September 12th as he faces 15 years to life in prison. Miriam Hernandez, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Some people do believe that the evidence should have been challenged further. There was no cause of death, there was no DNA that linked him to the crime, and it was very much a circumstantial case. However, the evidence that was available made everything a very strong circumstantial case. Her panicked phone call to the police, his growing obsession with her, and all of his searches on the computer. With circumstantial cases, we often think of prosecutor Kelly Siegler, who said that they can be just as strong as DNA-based cases. She said that one piece of evidence is like a single pencil, it can easily break. But the more pencils you hold in your hand, the more impossible that becomes. Each piece of circumstantial evidence, no matter how small, just adds to each other and creates a story that is very hard to challenge or dispute. He was sentenced to 15 years to life in prison.
A man convicted of killing his roommate, an Iraq War veteran, is sentenced to 15 years to life in prison. An Eyewitness News reporter Greg Lee was in court today when Casey Joy declared his innocence.
Mr. Joy needs to be put away for life. He is an evil man and a coward that should never be forgiven.
Ramos's family trying to hold back tears in the courtroom.
Happy that justice has been served. It's been tough.
Joy's request for a new trial was also denied. While addressing the court today, he continued to say how much he loved his roommate and friend.
I miss Maribel more than anyone. I think about it. I've been here about 440 days in the jail. Think about it almost every day.
Mr. Joy sent dozens of letters to the judge declaring his innocence.
Casey Joy has remained behind bars at the Correctional Training Facility in Soledad, California, and according to records, was eligible for parole in the spring of 2022 after serving 9 years of his sentence. This was denied and denied again in 2023. He will not appear before the parole board until 2026 now. He said he was writing a book called Suspect, Guilty Until Proven Innocent. Maribel was a fearless fighter all her life, and in what should have been the safety of her own home, she lost her life to someone she had put trust into, someone her family trusted as well. Maribel's niece Giselle accepted her degree on her behalf, carrying her picture on stage so that she could be there too. She said, "I lost a big sister, a best friend, another role model, another mother figure in my life. I want everyone to know what a beautiful soul she was." We are so grateful to all of our viewers and all of our patrons, and we'd love you to consider joining our little community over on Patreon. It supports us as a channel, and we couldn't be more appreciative of anyone that does so. It also gives you behind the scenes, extra episodes, and early ad-free access.